Dawn breaks, and the world is quiet. For a brief moment, everything is still. Then the alarm sounds and cuts through the silence. In that small space between sleep and thought, you are holding something most people never notice: pure potential. A brand new day that has not yet been shaped by fear, distraction, or habit. Most people lose this moment without realizing it. They reach for their phone, scroll through messages and headlines, and within minutes their mind is crowded with anxiety, comparison, and noise. The day begins controlling them before they even leave the bed. But the Stoics saw mornings differently. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that when it is hard to get out of bed, he must remember he is rising to do the work of a human being, not to serve comfort, not to drift through another day, to live with purpose. Because the first minutes after you wake up decide something powerful. Your mind will either become your greatest weapon or your quietest prison. And that choice begins the moment you open your eyes. Every morning, you wake up with something priceless in your hands. 24 brand new hours that no one else can spend for you. They are yours. Yet most people treat this gift carelessly. They begin the day already distracted, already worried, already reacting to things that have not even happened. The Stoics warned against this long ago. They believed that the way you begin a day is the way you shape a life. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that every day is a complete life in miniature. When you wake up, you are not stepping into a routine that repeats forever. You are stepping into a limited and irreplaceable piece of your existence. One day, this opportunity will no longer be available. This idea is known in Stoic philosophy as memento mori, the remembrance that life is finite. It is not meant to make you afraid. It is meant to wake you up. Because when you truly understand that time is limited, you begin to treat each day differently. You stop assuming that tomorrow will always be there waiting for you. You stop postponing the things that matter. You stop drifting through the morning as if it were meaningless. Owning your day begins with a simple decision the moment you wake up. Instead of letting the day happen to you, you claim it. You remind yourself that this day belongs to you, and you will not waste it by moving unconsciously through it. This is not arrogance. It is responsibility. Most people move through life as passengers. They react to circumstances, to other people, to moods, to distractions. But the Stoics believed that the only real freedom a person has is the ability to choose their response. Epictetus said that some things are within our control and some things are not. The weather is not in your control. Other people's behavior is not in your control. The past is not in your control. But your attitude, your attention, and your actions right now are always yours to direct. When you wake up and claim ownership of your day, you are reclaiming that power. But ownership of the day is not only about time, it is also about the quality of your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Not your income, not your status, not what others think of you. Your thoughts shape the lens through which you experience everything. And the first thoughts of the morning are often the most influential. If the first voice in your head says, "Today will be exhausting, difficult, and frustrating," your mind begins searching for evidence to prove that voice correct. Your perception becomes colored by negativity before the day has even started. But if the first voice in your mind reminds you that you have the power to respond with calm, discipline, and purpose, something changes. The same circumstances may appear, but your interpretation of them becomes stronger and more balanced. Most people never question the thoughts that appear in their mind. They assume every thought is a truth that must be obeyed. The Stoics understood that thoughts are often nothing more than passing impressions. Fear appears as a thought. Doubt appears as a thought. Worry appears as a thought. But just because a thought enters your mind does not mean it deserves your trust. Epictetus taught that when an impression appears, we should pause and examine it. We should ask whether it is useful, whether it is true, whether it deserves our attention. This simple act of awareness is the beginning of mental discipline. Instead of being dragged around by every emotion or fear, you begin to observe your mind with calm distance. This is especially important in the morning because your mind is still quiet enough to be shaped intentionally. If you begin the day feeding your attention to random noise, to news headlines, to social media comparisons, your mind becomes scattered before it even has a chance to center itself. But if you begin the day with awareness, you set the direction of your thinking before the world starts demanding your energy. A single clear thought can guide an entire day. It can be as simple as reminding yourself that today you will act with patience. Today you will remain focused. Today you will do what is necessary instead of what is easy. When you take ownership of your day and discipline the quality of your thoughts, something subtle begins to change. You stop living as if life is something that is happening to you. Instead, you begin living as someone who participates consciously in every moment. Challenges still appear. Difficult people still appear. Unexpected problems still appear. But your mind no longer collapses at the first sign of difficulty. You recognize that your peace does not come from controlling the world. It comes from mastering your response to it. Every sunrise gives you the same opportunity, a blank space in time, waiting to be filled with intention. And the way you choose to think in the first moments of the morning quietly decides the direction of everything that follows. One of the heaviest things people carry into the morning is yesterday. The mistakes, the awkward conversations, the opportunities missed, the words that were never said. Instead of waking up to a new day, many people wake up replaying old scenes in their minds. They analyze what they should have done differently, what they should have said, who they should have been. And while their mind is trapped in yesterday, the present quietly slips away. The Stoics understood this tendency very well. They knew the mind has a habit of clinging to what is already finished. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself of a simple but powerful truth. The past is beyond your control. No amount of regret can rewrite it. No amount of anger can erase it. No amount of wishing can change a single second of it. When you understand this clearly, you begin to see how pointless it is to carry yesterday like a weight on your shoulders. This does not mean the past has no value. The Stoics did not ignore their mistakes. In fact, they practiced reflection every evening. They would examine their actions, review their decisions, and ask themselves what they could improve. But there is a difference between learning from the past and being imprisoned by it. Learning gives you wisdom. Dwelling gives you suffering. When the mind keeps repeating the same regrets, it is not searching for improvement anymore. It is simply punishing itself. And punishment does not produce growth. What produces growth is clarity. The ability to look at what happened, understand it, and then move forward without carrying emotional chains. Epictetus taught that we are disturbed not by events themselves, but by the judgments we place upon them. The event may be finished, but the story we continue telling ourselves about that event keeps the pain alive. Maybe you made a mistake yesterday. Maybe you disappointed someone. Maybe you failed at something important. Those things may be real, but they do not have the authority to define who you are today. The moment you wake up, you are standing in a new moment of time. And this moment is not obligated to repeat the past unless you choose to carry it with you. Letting go of yesterday is not weakness. It is discipline. It requires the courage to release the illusion that you can control what has already happened. It requires the humility to accept that being human means making errors and learning from them. The Stoics believed that each day offers a chance to practice virtue again. No matter how yesterday ended, today still invites you to act with patience, honesty, courage, and wisdom. The past cannot stop you from doing that unless you allow it to dominate your thoughts. But releasing yesterday is only the first step. The second step is reclaiming control of your mind before the outside world claims it for you. Most people wake up and immediately surrender their attention. The phone lights up with notifications. Messages appear. News headlines compete for emotional reactions. Within minutes, the mind is pulled in multiple directions. Anxiety rises. Comparison begins. The day has not even started yet, and already the mind is scattered. This is exactly what the Stoics warned against. They believed that attention is one of the most valuable resources a person possesses. Wherever your attention goes, your energy follows. When you begin the morning by protecting your attention, you begin the process of mastering your mind. Instead of immediately reacting to the world, you create a moment of stillness. You breathe. You observe the thoughts that appear. You remind yourself that not every thought deserves your belief, and not every impulse deserves your obedience. This is the discipline of awareness, a skill the Stoics practiced constantly. They understood that the mind produces endless impressions throughout the day. Some are useful and some are misleading. The difference between a disciplined person and a distracted one is the ability to pause before accepting those impressions as truth. Morning is the perfect time to practice this control because the mind is still quiet enough to be guided. When you sit with your thoughts for even a short moment, you begin to recognize something important. You are not the voice in your head. You are the one observing it. Fear may appear as a thought. Doubt may appear as a thought, but those thoughts are temporary visitors, not permanent rulers. When you recognize that distinction, you begin to reclaim your authority over your inner world. Every new morning invites you to release what is finished and take command of what is present. Yesterday cannot be relived. Tomorrow cannot be controlled. But this moment, this breath, this awareness belongs entirely to you. And when you stop dragging the weight of the past into the present, you finally create space for. Once you release yesterday and bring your mind back to the present moment, something important becomes possible. You can begin the day with intention instead of hesitation. The way you start your morning creates a force that carries into every hour that follows. In physics, there is a simple idea called momentum. An object that begins moving in a clear direction tends to keep moving in that direction. The same principle quietly shapes human behavior. When the morning begins with distraction and delay, the rest of the day often follows the same pattern. When the morning begins with clarity and action, the mind gains a sense of progress that continues forward. The Stoics understood this long before the language of modern science existed. They believed that the first actions of the day should not be random. They should be deliberate. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that when the body resists getting out of bed, it is not a signal to stay comfortable. It is a reminder of duty. A human being is not meant to spend life chasing ease. A human being is meant to act according to purpose. This idea may sound simple, but it changes how you view the morning. Instead of asking how you feel when you wake up, you ask what kind of person you want to be today. Feelings are temporary and unpredictable. Purpose is a decision. If you allow comfort to make your decisions, the day slowly drifts away from you. But when you act according to purpose, the day begins with strength. Starting strong does not require dramatic actions. It requires meaningful ones. A few minutes of focused reading can sharpen the mind. A brief workout can awaken the body. Writing down a clear intention for the day can organize your attention. Even something as simple as standing up immediately when the alarm rings is a small act of discipline. These small actions send a message to your mind. They tell you that you are someone who moves when it is time to move, someone who chooses effort instead of delay, someone who honors the beginning of a new day. But a strong start is only part of the equation. Many people begin the morning with enthusiasm and lose that energy before the day is halfway finished. The Stoics were not impressed by bursts of motivation. They valued endurance. They believed character is revealed not in the excitement of starting something, but in the commitment to continue when the initial energy fades. Discipline is what keeps the mind steady when motivation disappears. It is the quiet decision to continue doing what matters, even when the work becomes ordinary or difficult. Seneca often wrote about the importance of consistency. He believed that progress is built through repeated actions rather than sudden transformations. One disciplined choice in the morning is helpful, but a disciplined choice repeated hour after hour creates real strength. When you continue moving forward, even when the day becomes busy or tiring, you are training the mind to remain stable under pressure. Each completed task reinforces a deeper belief within yourself, the belief that you can rely on your own effort. There is also something powerful about finishing what you begin. When a person leaves many things half-completed, the mind becomes cluttered with unfinished commitments. Energy leaks away through scattered attention and lingering responsibility. But when you complete the tasks you set for yourself, something different happens. The mind becomes clear. There is a quiet sense of order and self-respect that develops. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself to focus only on the work directly in front of him and to do it with sincerity and concentration. That mindset transforms ordinary tasks into acts of discipline. Think of the day as a structure built through your actions. The morning lays the foundation. The hours that follow build the walls. The evening becomes the roof that completes it. If the foundation is weak, the structure becomes unstable. If the middle of the day is filled with distraction, the structure becomes fragile. But when you begin with strength and continue with discipline, the entire day becomes solid and purposeful. The Stoics did not measure success by loud achievements or public praise. They measured it by whether a person remained faithful to the actions they believed were right. That kind of strength is built quietly through daily practice. Every time you begin your morning with purpose, you create momentum. Every time you continue working with patience, you reinforce that momentum. And every time you finish what you started, you strengthen your trust in yourself. A day lived this way does more than produce results. It shapes character. Over time, the repeated experience of starting strong, maintaining effort, and finishing with discipline changes how you see yourself. You stop viewing discipline as something forced upon you. Instead, you begin to recognize it as a source of inner stability, a steady force that allows you to move through life with direction rather than confusion. And it all begins in the simple moment when the morning arrives and you choose to rise with purpose. One of the quietest enemies of a meaningful life is procrastination. It rarely appears as something dramatic or obvious. It does not shout or demand attention. Instead, it whispers something simple and comfortable. You can do this later. There is still time. You will start when you feel ready. These words feel harmless in the moment, but over time, they quietly steal entire days, months, and sometimes years from a person's life. The Stoics understood that waiting for the perfect moment is one of the most dangerous habits the mind can develop. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to stop wasting time arguing about what a good person should be and instead begin being one. That statement carries a powerful message. A meaningful life is not built by endless planning or reflection. It is built through action. Many people believe they need the right mood before they begin something important. They think motivation must appear first and action will follow. But reality works the opposite way. Action creates motivation. Movement creates clarity. When you sit still, thinking about everything that could go wrong, the mind becomes trapped in endless analysis. Doubt multiplies. Fear grows stronger. The task begins to feel heavier than it really is. But the moment you take the first step, something changes. The mind shifts from imagination to reality. Energy begins to move again. What once felt overwhelming suddenly becomes manageable. Seneca wrote that while we delay, life passes by. This idea may sound simple, but it reveals something profound about time. Every day is moving forward, whether you act or not. Every hour is disappearing, whether you use it or not. Waiting does not protect your future. Waiting slowly erases the opportunities that exist right now. The Stoics believed that the present moment is the only place where action can happen. The past is already finished, and the future is uncertain. But the present is alive with possibility. When you act in the present, you are shaping the only part of time that truly belongs to you. The morning offers a perfect opportunity to practice this principle. When you wake up, you stand at the beginning of a new stretch of time. If you hesitate too long, the mind begins negotiating with comfort. It suggests checking the phone first. It suggests resting for a few more minutes. It suggests beginning later, when you feel more prepared. These negotiations slowly drain the strength of your intention. But if you act immediately, you interrupt that cycle. Getting out of bed when the alarm sounds is not just a small physical movement. It is a declaration that your decisions are stronger than your excuses. The Stoics believed in starting with small actions because small actions remove the barrier of fear. When a task feels overwhelming, break it into something simple. Write one sentence instead of an entire page. Do a few minutes of exercise instead of imagining a full workout. Begin reading one paragraph instead of planning an entire study session. These small beginnings create movement. And movement is powerful because once the mind begins moving, it becomes easier to continue. Momentum builds naturally when action replaces hesitation. Another reason immediate action is so important is that it builds trust between you and yourself. Each time you promise yourself that you will do something and then delay it, your mind quietly learns that your words cannot be relied upon. This weakens your confidence without you even noticing it. But when you act the moment you decide, something different happens. You prove to yourself that your intentions carry weight. Over time, this builds a deep sense of self-trust. You begin to believe that when you decide to do something, you will follow through. Epictetus often taught that great things are not accomplished suddenly. They are created through repeated effort and steady discipline. Acting immediately does not mean rushing through life or forcing constant activity. It means refusing to allow fear or laziness to delay the things that truly matter. Courage does not mean the absence of hesitation. Courage means moving forward even while hesitation is present. When you practice acting without delay each morning, something subtle begins to change inside you. Decisions become clearer. Energy becomes stronger. The mind becomes less interested in excuses and more interested in results. You start to experience the satisfaction that comes from movement instead of the frustration that comes from endless waiting. And over time, this habit of immediate action reshapes how you approach every part of life. The Stoics believed that life is built one decision at a time. Each moment presents a small opportunity to move forward or remain still. When you choose action, you align yourself with progress. When you choose delay, you slowly drift away from your potential. The difference between these two paths often begins with something very small. The simple willingness to act right now, instead of waiting for a better moment that may never arrive. Once you learn to act without delay, another challenge quickly appears. The modern world constantly pulls your attention in many directions at once. Messages appear. Notifications light up. New information competes for your focus every minute. It becomes easy to start many things, but difficult to finish any of them with real depth. This scattered way of living slowly drains your energy. The Stoics understood that attention is one of the most valuable resources a human being possesses. Wherever your attention goes, your life begins to follow. When attention is divided into too many pieces, the mind becomes restless and exhausted. But when attention is directed toward one clear task, something different happens. Energy gathers instead of leaking away. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to concentrate on what was directly in front of him, not the past that had already happened and not the future that had not yet arrived. Just the present task. This idea may sound simple, but it carries enormous power. When you focus completely on one meaningful action, your mind enters a state of clarity. The noise of unnecessary worries fades into the background. Your thoughts become steady, and your effort becomes stronger. Many people believe they must wait until they feel energetic in order to focus. But the truth often works the other way around. Focus itself creates energy. When your attention is fully engaged, your mind becomes alive and purposeful. This is why beginning the day with a single important task can transform the direction of the entire day. Instead of scattering your effort across many small distractions, you choose one action that truly matters. It may be writing, studying, planning, or solving a difficult problem. When you give that task your complete attention, you create a powerful sense of progress. That progress fuels motivation and strengthens your discipline. What once felt heavy becomes lighter because the mind is no longer fighting against confusion. It knows exactly where its effort should go. The Stoics also understood that strength is not built through sudden bursts of extraordinary achievement. Strength grows through repeated small victories. Epictetus taught that well-being is created through small steps practiced consistently. Every time you complete a small action that aligns with your values, you strengthen your character. Getting out of bed when the alarm sounds is a victory. Choosing focus instead of distraction is a victory. Finishing a task you promised yourself you would complete is another victory. These moments may appear insignificant on their own, but together they form the foundation of discipline. Think of these victories as evidence you give to yourself. Evidence that you are someone who follows through. Evidence that your decisions are real and not just hopeful ideas. Each time you keep a small promise to yourself, your confidence grows quietly stronger. This confidence is different from loud motivation. It does not depend on excitement or external praise. It comes from repeated proof that you can rely on your own effort. Over time, these small actions accumulate into powerful momentum. Marcus Aurelius himself practiced this mindset. Even as the ruler of a vast empire, he reminded himself daily to focus on simple virtues, to act with patience, to remain disciplined, to complete the work before him without complaint. He understood that greatness is not built from grand declarations. It is built from ordinary actions done with consistency and integrity. The Stoics believed that every day provides an opportunity to practice these small forms of excellence. When you combine focused attention with small, consistent victories, something remarkable begins to happen. Your mind becomes calmer because it is no longer overwhelmed by endless choices. Your energy becomes stronger because it is directed instead of scattered. And your discipline becomes natural because each success reinforces the next one. A single focused action leads to another, and then another. Slowly the day fills with meaningful progress. Many people underestimate the power of these small daily efforts because they are quiet and almost invisible. They are not dramatic. They do not attract applause. But the Stoics believed that true character is built in exactly these quiet moments. Each decision to focus, each promise kept, each small task completed adds another stone to the foundation of a disciplined life. Over time, the accumulation of these small victories transforms the way you see yourself. You stop thinking of discipline as something difficult or restrictive. Instead, you begin to recognize it as a steady source of strength. A reminder that real progress does not come from occasional bursts of inspiration, but from the consistent practice of directing your attention and honoring your commitments one step at a time. Many people misunderstand the meaning of discipline. They imagine it as something restrictive and heavy, a rigid system that removes freedom and pleasure from life. To them, discipline feels like a cage built from rules and obligations. But the Stoics saw discipline in a completely different way. They believed discipline is not a prison, but a path to freedom. Without discipline, the mind becomes a slave to impulses, emotions, and distractions. A person wakes up and immediately follows whatever feeling appears first. If the body feels tired, they stay in bed. If the mind seeks comfort, they avoid effort. If the phone lights up, they follow it without thinking. In this state, life is not guided by purpose but by impulse. And impulse is unstable. Epictetus once said that no person is free who is not master of himself. This idea goes straight to the heart of Stoic philosophy. Freedom is not the ability to do whatever you want, whenever you want. That kind of freedom is only chaos, disguised as independence. Real freedom is the ability to choose what is right, even when something easier is available. It is the ability to guide your behavior according to your values instead of your moods. Discipline makes this possible. It gives you the strength to remain steady when emotions fluctuate and when comfort tries to pull you away from what matters. Think about what happens when a person lives without discipline. Their day is shaped entirely by external forces. A notification interrupts their work and their attention instantly shifts. A difficult task appears and they delay it until the pressure becomes overwhelming. A small frustration appears and it ruins the mood for hours. In this situation, the person believes they are free, but in reality they are constantly reacting to whatever happens around them. Their mind is being controlled by circumstances rather than guided by intention. Discipline reverses this pattern. When you begin the morning with disciplined actions, you are sending a message to your mind. You are reminding yourself that your choices are stronger than your impulses. Getting out of bed when it would feel easier to stay under the covers is a small act of mastery. Completing an important task before distractions appear is another act of mastery. Each of these moments strengthens your control over your own behavior. Slowly, the mind learns that it does not have to obey every passing desire. Seneca believed that the most powerful person is the one who has power over himself. This kind of strength does not require control over other people or over unpredictable events. It comes from the ability to guide your own actions with clarity and consistency. When discipline becomes part of your daily routine, something surprising begins to happen. Life actually feels lighter. The constant debate inside your mind begins to disappear. You no longer spend long periods negotiating with yourself about whether you should act. The decision has already been made. You simply follow the path you committed to. This is why disciplined mornings create a sense of freedom throughout the rest of the day. When you face the difficult tasks early, you remove the weight of unfinished responsibilities from your mind. Instead of carrying stress and procrastination into every hour, you move through the day with calm confidence. You know that the important things have already been handled. This clarity creates space for creativity, focus, and peace. Another hidden gift of discipline is the quiet confidence it builds over time. Every time you keep a promise you made to yourself, you strengthen your trust in your own character. You begin to see yourself as someone reliable, someone who acts with intention rather than hesitation. This form of confidence is deeply stable because it is built on action rather than words. It does not depend on approval from other people or temporary feelings of motivation. The Stoics believed that discipline is the bridge between the life you imagine and the life you actually live. Ideas alone do not shape a meaningful existence. Plans alone do not build character. What shapes life is the repeated decision to act according to your values, even when it requires effort. Each morning gives you the opportunity to practice that decision again. Over time, the person who practices discipline begins to notice a quiet transformation. The mind becomes calmer because it is no longer controlled by endless impulses. The body becomes stronger because effort is no longer avoided. And the spirit becomes more confident because it has learned that it can rely on itself. Discipline stops feeling like a burden and starts feeling like a form of liberation, a steady force that allows you to move through the world with direction, purpose, and inner freedom. At the center of Stoic philosophy, there is a simple but powerful realization. No one else is coming to decide how your day will unfold. No one else will determine how you think, how you respond, or how you use the time given to you. The responsibility for your day belongs entirely to you. Many people move through life as if they are passengers being carried by circumstances. If the weather is bad, the day feels ruined. If someone speaks harshly, the mood collapses. If a problem appears, the mind becomes overwhelmed. In this state, a person feels as if life is happening to them instead of being shaped by them. The Stoics rejected this mindset completely. They believed that while external events may be unpredictable, the inner response to those events is always within your control. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself again and again that very little is needed for a good life. The essential element is not the absence of difficulty, but the presence of a disciplined mind. You cannot control whether the day brings challenges, delays, or uncomfortable encounters, but you can control how you meet those experiences. You can choose patience instead of frustration. You can choose calm instead of panic. You can choose effort instead of avoidance. These choices may appear small in the moment, but they shape the entire direction of your day. Every morning you wake up standing at a quiet crossroads. One path leads to reaction. On that path, you allow the outside world to decide your mood, your focus, and your energy. You move from one situation to another without clear intention. A problem appears and it determines your emotions. A distraction appears and it captures your attention. The day becomes a series of reactions rather than a deliberate experience. The other path leads to intention. On this path, you decide who you will be before the day fully begins. You choose the mindset you will carry into each situation. Instead of waiting to see what the day will bring you, prepare your character to meet whatever appears. The Stoics practiced this mindset by reminding themselves of the types of challenges they might encounter. Marcus Aurelius wrote that when he woke up, he expected to meet people who were impatient, ungrateful, arrogant, or dishonest. He did not say this to become negative. He said it to strengthen his readiness. By anticipating difficulties, he removed the element of surprise. When those situations appeared, he could respond with calm understanding instead of anger. This preparation gave him control over his reactions rather than allowing others to control them. Another important aspect of deciding your day is recognizing that meaning is created through your actions. A day does not become valuable simply because it passes. Time alone does not create a meaningful life. What creates meaning is how you choose to fill that time. When you act with purpose, even ordinary activities become significant. Working with focus becomes an act of discipline. Speaking with kindness becomes an act of character. Facing difficulties with patience becomes an act of strength. The Stoics believed that virtue expressed through daily behavior is what transforms ordinary time into a meaningful life. There will always be moments during the day when circumstances test your intention. Plans may change unexpectedly. A conversation may become difficult. Fatigue may appear when there is still work to complete. In those moments, it becomes easy to slip back into reaction. But Stoic practice reminds you to pause and return to awareness. Instead of asking why something is happening to you, the better question becomes, what can you do with this moment? Every situation contains an opportunity to practice patience, clarity, and resilience. When you truly accept that you are the author of your day, something powerful changes in your perspective. You stop searching for perfect conditions before acting. You stop blaming circumstances for your lack of progress. Instead, you focus on what is always available to you: your choices, your effort, your attitude. These are the tools that remain in your hands regardless of what the world presents. Over time, this mindset creates a deep sense of inner stability. The world may continue to change and challenges may continue to appear, but your response becomes steadier and more intentional. Each morning becomes an invitation to practice this responsibility again. A reminder that the direction of your day is not written in advance. It is created moment by moment through the decisions you make. When you rise with this understanding, you no longer drift through time. You move through it with purpose. Aware that the power to shape your experience begins the moment you open your eyes and choose how you will live the hours ahead.